Okay. Okay. First of all, congratulations, Mang, on being selected. I don't know the details, but you tell me what are you selected on and what exactly it is. Mang,
Hello. Yes, sir.
y- tell
Thank
me,
you so
Mang.
much, sir. Sir, actually, Infosys, if you ask me this question again and again, actually, that's twice time they're asking. How do I migrate or upgrade my UI path if that's available or detail the
Hmm.
in server? And second one is what is the infrastructure like? They are on their own orchestrator or they have used their own server in your
Hmm.
organization.
Okay. So I'll answer to both. And do you have any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay,
Just
so in
two.
the interest of time, let's go ahead and complete these two questions and then let's continue because we have documents to complete. Okay, see, the first question is, have you migrated any UiPath orchestrator? Is what the first question is. So there is a migration tool
Yes.
that is available in just a second. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
So here we have something called UiPath data migration tool. So what exactly this does is this will create a clone of your personal server. I'm not sure how many of you know this concepts of server as well as hosting a website and all. But Orchestrate is just a website where it is hosted on a server. It's like your Instagram website. It's like your Facebook website. It's like your any kind of other web application. But the functionality is it is working for UiPath. Okay. And the second one is to upgrade to the latest versions of Orchestrator. We are having how to upgrade tools as well as how to work with this. So if you see here, there are steps like in Orchestrator, remove any potential duplicate entries. So this is the tool that this is the command that we need to run in SQL Server. And the second one is this one, move the existing table from logs to logs backup. Alter table logs to switch to logs backup. Upgrade orchestrator, following procedure. So again, this is the following procedure structure that we have. Well, is it necessary for everyone to download or to work with these installations? No. As a developer, you need not have an idea of how to upgrade orchestrators, but you should have an idea of how to upgrade or move bots or processes to different orchestrators. For example, when you are deploying, you are setting up the orchestrator key, connecting the robot, as well as working on with respect to uh, jobs and creating jobs, creating triggers, all these things that you will do, right? So by default, few things will be available, like passwords will not be created, but all the assets will be created, and process will be created, like the packages will be updated by default, they will be uploaded, but you need to create process out of them. Do you know the difference between package and a process? Mike, please answer.
Uh, so package such kind like a file, complete file.
Okay. See, package is the NuGet package that we normally upload, that we generate at the end to move to different machine. And process is So for that package, we will set up a machine and environment, right? Where it should
Yes.
execute. Okay, so that's a process. And what is the job? Guys, please type in the chat what is the difference between process, package, and a job. Okay, by the way, these things will be updated or by default updated. So the jobs and triggers you need to create. Just understand, in Orchestrator, we cannot see the uh, passwords, right? But all the other assets we can see. So those will be migrated, and the packages will be migrated, and the logs will be migrated. So all these things will happen. So this is the migration thing. And what is the second option that you asked? Have you been part of any migration? Is it right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The best answer for that and the safe answer for that is uh, we are not a team of migration. Like we are not a part of migration team, but there is an infrastructure team for that completely different. Or a COI team handles this completely on their own. We are just implementing our solution, and this will happen with respect to any admin or server admin, SQL admin, or they will actually do this particular work, but not a end developer. Just understand that.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay. And what is multi-node environment and what is single node environment is what you need to see again. Okay. For example, there is an orchestrator, or let's take an example of Facebook. Do you think that Facebook is hosted only at one place, or only from one place you are getting all the information of Instagram or Facebook?
No, sir.
So what exactly will happen is uh, there will be some load balancer. It means that okay, if you do some work, give some work to me also. I will help you to solve some queries. For example, if there are 10,000 requests from different robots, 500 requests will be separated by one machine, and the second 500 will be done by a separate machine. So the tool that does this called Redis cache. Redis cache, or the cache that will help to load balance multiple requests. Well, again, do you need to learn all these things? No. But what you can say is there is only one orchestrator instance that we are using, and that orchestrator instance is a cloud orchestrator instance. So whatever orchestrator that you are using, community version is a cloud orchestrator. So what is the difference between cloud orchestrator as well as a on-prem orchestrator? Anyone can answer this. Okay. Now
Sir, your question is cloud orchestrator and
on-prem orchestrator, on-premise orchestrator.
cloud orchestrator is like they are hosted in cloud,
Mhm.
uh, and on premises like the servers are kept physically in the client side.
Correct answer. So when you're saying cloud, let's take it more in a more understandable way. Now, if you are taking your machine as your on-premise machine, on-premise means the machine that stays on, or that resides in a server room of any particular organization. If you are hosting, or if you are installing all your service in that particular machine, and you are managing if the orchestrator is up and running, and if you are managing if the orchestrator is having any issues, that is an on-premise instance, and UiPath will help you to manage it, but your responsibility is to check and make sure that the orchestrator is up and running. Okay. And the second one is cloud orchestrator, where the orchestrator is present in either Azure virtual machine or Amazon virtual machine, or um, any other cloud service virtual machine. Now, what is the difference between cloud virtual machine as well as UiPath provided virtual orchestrator, UiPath orchestrator? So you're typing in cloud.uipath.com and you're getting an orchestrator, right? So what is the difference between that and your your cloud orchestrator?
Sir, it is scalable based on the number of requests which comes to server. They
Uh,
can scale
Maybe
quickly.
you are going on a request method. So let's do something like this. Let's see who is responsible for what. Now cloud.uipath.com is hosted by UiPath organization. Okay. And who manages it? UiPath manages it. Okay. But if you are hosting your own orchestrator in some Azure website or some Azure web server or some Amazon web server, who should manage that?
Azure or AWS, whosoever is providing.
It should be you, the particular organization. If Vajrang Information Technology Services is taking a Azure server and installing orchestrator in it, then it becomes my responsibility to see it is up and running. But if we are using an instance of cloud.uipath.com, then it becomes the responsibility of UiPath and we are utilizing its service. Okay, so let's have a quick understanding of what is what. Multi-node environment. So guys, I'll take 5 more minutes, then we'll go ahead with our current information. So large scale migration. Okay, no, this is different.
So, sir,
So
if
hmm,
we have a on environment like on cloud environment or on premises environment, so uh, there we can we have any restriction for any bot. We like we have purchased for first time we have purchased like 5 time bots like attendant or unattended. If we have run on our premises, so we can increase or decrease without any payment. Is it possible?
so even if you want to increment or decrement, you still need to upgrade or install everything, right?
Okay, okay, okay. So for the same, we should pay for them also.
Exactly. So Azure machines you should pay. If you're using Cloud Orchestrator, then you will not pay. So let's quickly complete it within next 2 minutes. After this, let's not take any questions. Let's take it later.
Okay, sir.
Checklist. So here is the pre-installation checklist. Go ahead and check it out. And there are different types of orchestrator: on-prem, cloud. So even in cloud, we have org managed, UiPath managed. So UiPath managed will be with cloud.uipath.com. Okay. So org managed can be with Vajrang at vajrang.orchestrator.com. So it's not dependent on UiPath anymore. Who will managed by organization. This is managed UiPath company. Okay. So here only org will use server, RAM, and other shared resources. Okay. Here multiple organizations will share RAM, server. Okay, so all these details. So when I say multiple organizations, what does it mean? If Vajrang organization uses it, along with that, Mayank organization also uses the same instance of Orchestrator, but our tables will be different. So we will not have access to each other's data. Okay. Now here in the on-prem orchestrator, this is again you can have your own vajrang.org.com. So you can have your own domain managed by organization, managed by internal IT team. So even this is by organization and internal IT team. Okay. Server uh, hosted on server in organization. Okay, you can say that hardware machine inside organization. This will be hosted on cloud service like Azure or AWS or any other cloud services. So is the segregation clear for everyone? Like how and what things and work will change or not? Just confirm that.
Yes, clear.
Clear? Okay, thanks Anand. And let's close this for today about this particular topic. So if you are willing to check on this, see, migration is easy concept that is available here. Like even if you can directly update your orchestrator to 2021 if you're currently using version like from 2018 to 2021 X version, any version that you have, you can directly migrate. And these are the steps like review system settings and change introduction deployment, run platform configuration. You need to see if platform configuration documentation is downloaded or not. Stop the orchestrator. Directly updating the orchestrator using Windows installer, using Azure script, update consideration. So you can upgrade in two ways: using Windows installer like an exe file, or an Azure script. If you are using an Azure machine, then you need to work on an Azure script. Okay, so these steps will be available for you. Just go ahead and check it out. And moreover, as a developer, even I don't know completely. I just know whatever I said to you. Okay, but that is enough because you will have separate IT team or infrastructure team to manage that particular items. And if you are going to any particular organization, bigger organization, they will never even bother if you know this complete path or not, until and unless you are a solution architect or any higher role. Okay, guys, clear?
Clear.
Okay. Let's go with UiPath and the previous class and see what are the things that we are working on and what are the pending items. So any specific commitments that I made that today I'll teach or today we'll discuss? Okay, no. So let's assume that whatever we created yesterday is completed. The code is completed. Okay. Now how will you create SDDs and PDDs? So this is the topic that we need to discuss. Create solution design document, runbook, handover document or handover document. Okay. So first thing we'll do is we will create a SGD and let's see what is an SGD and all. Okay. For installing or working with an SGD, I'll rely upon one default package from UiPath Marketplace. You can also download and work on it. So this is SGD maker, solution design document creator. Can you see this, everyone?
Yes.
Why am I using this is I will have by default all the requirements fulfilled with this solution. Okay, so I'll click on save as. Okay, just a second. So let's go ahead and save. Okay, Control J. Now show in folder. Okay, this is my SDD assistant, and let's go ahead and add it in our GitHub. Again, I'm going into my Teams channel. That's it. Team 7 web draw, Team 7 folder, nothing else. So show in Explorer. This is easier for me than to navigate in each and every place. And here we go with Vajrang, and let's go with Team 7. And so see, there are multiple items, and we will use virtual plots as our use case. Okay, so I paste the file or assistant, and let's unzip. So why am I doing this? Because if I do this once, I can run it for any particular project and I can still get the information done. Okay. So what exactly will be available in this particular project? Can you see that there is an SDD template? Can you see the document?
Yes. Yes.
So anything, so your process title goes here, or your information like how many robots should it work on, what is the document history, architecture structure of the master project, project workflows, packages, future improvements, remarks, every detail that is required in this particular solution is available in this SGD, solution design document. And here we will discuss on what is the initial draft and who will work on. So before going to all these things, let's go ahead and close this and let's run this bot. So even this is the code. Let's open it in UiPath. So if you are having two items, a solution design document, so should you have two like performer and dispatcher separately? Do you need to have two solution design documents or only one?
Only one.
Why?
Because dispatcher and performer both performing the same task. Maybe dispatcher is dispatching only once, and performer is performing each and every time when it gets the data. So one solution design document can cover both.
So sometimes what will happen is you can have multiple solution design documents as well. If the dispatcher itself is also a bigger project.
Okay.
So it completely depends upon the use case and as well as this particular requirement of an organization. So for our solution, yes, we are having a small dispatcher where it is writing the data from Excel and updating it to Orchestrator queue. But as I said yesterday, there can be multiple business rules in place only for the dispatcher. For example, if the mobile number is not from India, don't add it. If the mobile number contains invalid characters, then don't add it. So all these business rules comes into picture, right? So then what happens is we will have a separate SGD for that and that one as well. Let's see on working on how this will work. And I'm starting this process. And by the way, this is my path. So virtual plots. So this is my path. Okay. So what is it? I just need to select this item. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah. So at the bottom you have something here. So can you see the path over here? I just need to select whatever my folder is at this time. So I need to go D UiPath git space RB developer in 30 days. This PC D UiPath git space RP developer in 30 days. Okay. Then I need to go to Vajrang folder. So again, I'm just mapping what is my current project path. So I'm having with what is this virtual plots, and let's okay. So I'm having this virtual plots, and dispatcher and performer is what we have. So let's, since we have everything in dispatcher and performer, let's add this one. So audit using Word document. So this is the document that it is creating. So from where this document is getting created? It will use this template and it will create the version, or it will create its own copy of with all the project items with whatever project that we have created. Let's see what is what are the details. So few details we need to still update. So what is the process name here? Is it virtual plots? Let's try to edit it. If it is not editable, let's close and edit it again. So this is with current date and time. So don't think anything else. This is with current date and time on which we are executing the bot. That's the naming convention. Okay. And this is our virtual plots use case. Okay. Now let's see the other details. So the purpose of this document is to make sure if there are any future increases, then how to deploy the process, and if the process is handled with all the exceptions, we'll see over here. Rather than this, let's go ahead and update on the date. So today's date is 02 March 2022. One author Vajrang, organization is Vajrang Information Technology Services. Or you can also something tell like this. This is a HR or IT department. Okay. So again, it depends on the way how you portray this document, and who else need to be updated. Like this is the document. This okay. Who creates this solution design document?
Dev lead.
Develop
Created by developer, validated by
I see.
tech lead, solution architect, and if client has someone who is very good with Orchestrator, then they will review, because they need to provide our us the orchestrator as well as the machines, right? So they will review it. So if you see here, this is virtual plots, dispatcher and performer. From where this is getting updated? From where this got updated? We haven't written this. I just didn't write this. Talk talk. So where this is getting updated from?
Main title from exit document.
The folder name.
Okay.
Okay. And robot type is background automation or foreground automation, front office automation. So do you know the difference between BOR and FOR? BOR FOR, front office automation. This is also called as attended automation. Started by an agent. So this is back office automation. Unattended bot, attended automation. Started by, what is it started by? This is started by time trigger or queue trigger. Do you get it? Now, what is the difference between both of these types? Now, there is an option called mix. So, what is mix?
If both are using.
Both FOR and BOR are being used. So, any particular use case that you can tell where both are being used? So, there can be two ways. FOR as dispatcher, FOR as performer, BOR as dispatcher, BOR as performer. Okay. So what can be the examples for this? So see, when dispatcher, when a human need to enter a data, for example, if there is a form, or for example, uh, there is a Microsoft form. Upon filling the information, okay, I am sending you all the data or all the information over email, like, okay. Now, whatever form you are filling, if it is done manually and if it is adding items to orchestrator queue, then that is foreground automation as dispatcher. Okay, humans or manually. Okay, now foreground process performer, you can say that there is some information that we are reviewing. For example, there are documents that we need to check. Okay, so there is an API call that is actually dispatching this particular process. So you can go ahead and work on this. Okay, so this is BORS performer. So let's check with BORS performer. Now I'm sending out all the emails to all the members. Consume the queue and information and start bot at automated time or with queue trigger. Then this is BORS performer. Again, do you want me to repeat it, or is it understood? Just tell me that, because we cannot discuss it again. FOR as dispatcher and BOR as performer.
Can you please repeat?
Okay. Let's take an example, simple example. Now, in the beginning of this training program, you filled an Excel sheet, or you created a updated a Microsoft form or Google Sheet.
Yes.
Now, when you update the sheet, then the bot is executing. Now, you are manually triggering, let's guess. Let's say that you are manually triggering, and for every item, you are adding the data into Orchestrator queue. Now, that is front office automation. Okay, so it is working only as a dispatcher. It's not sending out any information. Okay, but it will consume the next process. For example, yesterday we created virtual plots performer. In the same way, I have a separate performer on queue trigger whenever there is a new queue item that's added. So I'm having this back office automation or background automation that is running in unattended mode, that is sending you all the information or adding your contacts to my Google contacts, and sending out you a WhatsApp message. All this is being done by a separate process. So that is a back office automation.
Okay.
Okay. So now, am I using two processes for this or not? Am I relying on one process?
Two process.
Okay. Why can't I create only one process, that whenever there is a new request, why can't I just go ahead and send all the information? Because to my requirement, I also need to validate your payment details, your exact Gmail details, and also check if your Gmail details are matching or not. So these details I am validating before adding it to queue. So that is my requirement as a business executive, or that is my requirement as a business uh, person. Okay, it can be different for everyone. My requirement is whenever there is a new item that is submitted, I need to validate it and I need to submit it to Orchestrator queue. So there is a background bot that whenever a queue gets added up with a new item, it starts its own process. So validation part is done by me. So there is a second part as well. Now, foreground process as a performer. Now let's assume that there is an API call made. Okay, so dispatch always runs first. So BOR as dispatcher, make an API call to create all queue items. Now in foreground process performer, you trigger a bot, a process. It will pick it will pick one item for you to execute. Now, is creation of orchestrator queues automated by default or back in the back office, or is it manually triggered?
Automated.
So is there any manual intervention to create orchestrator queues? Please talk.
No.
Okay, but
You
on
have
the
to give the
front
data.
office, I need to run bot from here. Okay, I can also take this as an example. Let's say that this is merging multiple PDF files. Okay, now if I have PDF paths in orchestrator queue, and when I start this process, if bot is picking up the first queue item, now is this a foreground automation or a background automation if I am starting the bot?
Foreground.
Okay, but this is a performer, right? This is not adding items to queue. This is just consuming the queue. I'm getting values from orchestrator queue.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. That is background. Yes. Okay.
Okay, but if I don't have any, for example, this is an unattended bot. Let's close this one. So this is unattended bot. If I trigger this by default from orchestrator, if I just go to orchestrator, let's assume that upon one addition of queue item, this bot should trigger. Okay, so in the queues, let's assume that there is, let's have one item. Okay, I'll just add one item here. So new sequence. This is a temp sequence. Don't take it. This is a project one. So all I will do is I will add queue item. Okay, and so but before adding a queue item, so what I'll do is I will just write input box, input dialog. So the title must be quoted, and the title is enter name, enter name. So again, this doesn't have anything to deal with our unattended bot. Just understand this label sequence. So add sequence. So from this input dialog, we'll get some information. Let's assume that we are getting some information. This is the value. Okay. And while adding it to queue item, let's give out the queue name. So I can give any queue name, right? But I will give virtual LAN queue. Okay, it's my requirement, so I'll give this. So you can give your own queue name. Okay, and the item information also I'll give input. Okay, and this is value. Okay, whatever the name that we are giving it, and the value that we are giving it. Let's execute only this file, run file. So when I am creating items to orchestrator in queue, so is this process a dispatcher process or a performer process? We are
Dispatcher.
adding items to queue.
Dispatcher.
So, and one more thing, is it a foreground process or a background process?
Foreground.
Why?
Because here we are using input dialog activity which will ask us to enter the name.
So this requires a manual intervention.
Yeah, correct.
Enter data manually. Now, when I just run this, you are not authenticated to add queue item. Okay, I think that is added up to a service outlook. Let's see, where is this? Okay, let's change this one. Let's run this again. Run file. Okay, data added. Okay, add queue item. Core activities you are not added. Okay, why? My workspace, modern workflows. Okay, okay. Let's try to run this again, or else even without adding this item, or let's leave it. I just need to add one item. So by default, I'll add something in the variable called a, and then let's go ahead and run this. So orchestrator folder path, I think this is what it's checking, but by default it will take whatever the folder path that it has. So let's run the file. So I just want to pass in the information. Let's see. Let's go ahead and okay, robot is connected to orchestrator. Sign out. I'm just trying to sign out and see if I can add it. Let's see. So I don't have anything in here. Even in the robot also will not have anything. So sign in. Okay. Hopefully this should solve. If it is not solving, then let's go with someone else machine. Run file. Manage packages. UiPath system activities. Let's see. Let's update this one and save. Yesterday we have created with virtual plots as well, right? We can also utilize that if we want. UiPath Studio. Okay. Add queue item. Okay, now the authentication issue is solved, but you're saying that add queue item virtual LAN queue does not exist. So this is the error. Let's go ahead and change this one. Okay, debug. Okay, queues, my workspace. Okay, that is available in modern workspace. Let's go ahead with modern workspace. And let's stop it. By the way, these are folders. If you are asking what exactly is this, so these are modern folders. Okay, let's run this. Okay, now this is updated. The issue is with the activities version, but now this is updated. Can we see that there is one item that is updated? Virtual LAN queue, view transactions. Okay, view details. Okay, do we have an information input? Now tell me if what till now what we have done, is it a BOR or FOR?
FOR.
So front office automation, but for a dispatcher process. Understand that. So this is front office automation if we are having input. Okay, so let's control E. Okay, so this is the value and this is front office automation for dispatcher. Now how can we run BOR, back office automation, or unattended mode automation for this particular process? Queues, virtual LAN. Okay, here add a trigger. Now virtual plots. Okay, and queue trigger. So what is the difference between queue trigger and time trigger?
In time trigger, we can schedule the job for a particular time.
Okay.
It will be vary from days or on the time basis,
Okay.
and the queue in the queue
Hmm.
job, the queue job will be executed once the new queue will be added into the queue.
So correct answer. But here there is one more change. So here we cannot select queue names here. If it is time trigger, we can select only the process. Let's say this is the unattended process. So here we can dynamically allocate any machine that is as allocated for this, or so you can also add account and user. So for a particular account, I can just add what is the machine that we have. We can just add that machine and we can start. So this is a time trigger. But for queue trigger, you need to select a process. This is unattended testing. And you also need to select a queue name where this queue will execute or where the queue will be utilized. Okay. Now this can run in any machine, or you can also select in one machine. For example, this one, this one. Okay. Now if I just go ahead and add this. Now, what is your idea? Now, whenever I start the bot, what will happen whenever I complete the dispatcher process? So I'll just type in new input. So again, I'm not sending in data from this input to foreground process or background process. But what exactly is happening? Can you see whenever I run this process, the background process or this unattended testing bot is also executing. Why is it being done? So new item. Let's see how many items do we have. View transactions. How many items do we have now? Two. And when I just hit on OK, a new item will be added up. And it should trigger a process. Let's see with our jobs, my folders, queues, monitoring, automations, and jobs. Can you see that there are three items that are being executed? So for every addition of an item, this will automatically take information or run for that particular item. So this is complete. Front office as dispatcher and back office as performer. And the reverse, for example, if the data is getting updated automatically into orchestrator queues, and if you manually start the bot from this particular assistant or any other manual process, so see again, this new item triggered just now. And if you can also see what is the trigger here. Okay, so if you go ahead and see licenses, success, triggers, started, ended. So what is the source for these items?
Q is the source.
Whatever queue in which we add the data is a source. Okay, so there are different types of sources, right? What are those sources? So what is the source? Manual, time trigger, assistant, queue trigger, integration trigger. Manual is if you're starting a robot from this job. If you start it directly from here, then this is manual trigger. Okay. The second type of trigger is queue trigger that we just now saw that whenever a new item is added. Time trigger is whenever we set a trigger with a time, then this will be executed. Assistant means you can see from here. So when I start it from here, then there will be new job that will be updated. And can you see that there is updated? That is an attended bot. Job type is attended and it is started from an assistant. Okay, and the last one is integration trigger. So integrations is a different concept. Like if you are integrating some external service, like whenever there is a form submission or whenever there is a comment posted, so those kind of triggers we have. But normally right now we are not using integration triggers. This is in the beta phase. Okay, so how many types of triggers do we have? So next, have you used integration trigger? If someone asked you this, then what version are you using in the orchestrator? Okay, these are the things that we have as a triggers. Now coming back to our document, we went ahead of our document. Okay, see, if this is a background process or no. So tell me whether our process background process or no. Let's complete this document in next 5 minutes. But for that you need to speak. Should I call one? Let's do that. Mm, Prabhu, Prabhu, please unmute and talk. Prabhu, or don't we have Prabhu in the call? Okay, Prabhu, please join with your audio turned on because we just need to understand if you are available. Okay, thanks. And who is this BVANAR? Is it Chandrika or something? No, not Chandrika. Who is this?
It's Bhagyashree Vajram.
Bhagyashree. Okay, Bhagyashree, let's discuss. So Bhagyashree is our process foreground or background? Virtual plots.
Uh,
We are clicking on some
it's
items, right? We are clicking on
yeah,
the.
yeah, exactly.
So this
It's
is
foreground.
no
Uh,
background
oh,
process. No. Is orchestrator used? Are we using orchestrator?
yes.
Can we deploy the performer in multiple machines at once?
Mm,
Because if I have multiple robots, I can just allocate all my robots to the dispatcher orchestrator, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
Yes, yes.
what is the version of UiPath used? And here we need to have a structural diagram of it. Now, environment. So what is the production environment that we have? So here this is a queue trigger running on Sparky virtual back office machine. So here we can uh, running on Azure, Windows 11 uh, virtual machine. Okay, queue triggered on queue item. Okay, so just follow the instructions and complete the document. That is the reason we are using this template. Now, prerequisites to run. Any prerequisites?
Um,
Input information must be downloaded with all the input Excel must be downloaded. So is it a prerequisite or not for this process to run?
yeah, it is. Yeah.
And to update Excel, do we need Excel on the machine?
Yes.
No. Input data, 3 valid CSV files. Instead of that, can we have 1 valid Excel file? Okay. And 2 source files. Where are the source files available? So that can be available in data input folder. Any other files if we need. Data in input folder. So what is the expected output? 2 emails sent to buyer and sender emails. And registration office email. So there will be 3 emails sent after completion of this process. Okay, 1 email to buyer, 1 email to purchaser or purchaser, and the third one is to registration office. See, all this is our information on how the process should be executed. This is the business rules. These are the business rules that we have. Now, how to start this process? How to start the automated process? So, 1 valid Excel file. Okay, reporting. Is it reporting on how the email is being sent? So, after completion, daily reporting with executions on the day. How Orchestrator is used. Process will be started from Orchestrator server. So what is the Orchestrator path? This is cloud.uipath.com and as well as where this Orchestrator is hosted. So this is the tenant on which the Orchestrator is available. Okay. So using this document, we will be able to understand everything required for any particular process to be executed. So password policies, no password policy, no passwords in the process. Okay. Stored credentials, no credentials being used. So list of queue names, how many queue names we have? So what is the queue name that we have? Bhagesh, you need to speak.
Yeah, virtual plots.
Virtual plots queue. So schedule details. Is it scheduled? Let's assume that this is scheduled. Okay. And this is scheduled daily at 6 a.m. Now multiple resolutions supported. Now if we are using Citrix or any image based automation, we need to mention if it should be yes. But since we are not using a Citrix environment, this is no. Recommended resolution is not required, or you can just write 1920 by 1080. So this is my machine resolution. Okay. So environment. Now for previous legacy machines, we need to have environment. Environment used for development, name, location, and configuration details. So development environment, developer environment 1, and this is the process name. Okay. So this is the virtual computer name is what we have. Let's leave it as is. So we have Windows 11, back office and studio install, Microsoft license. So these are our requirements. So all we are filling is with this particular process to execute what and where we need to have. So where do we have the code file available? So where do we have the code file? Repository, view on GitHub, queue. So here we go. So this is the place. Now next one, I can just add it on a this way. Now can you see all the inputs that we are having as an arguments? Dispatcher, we have an enumerable of new queue items, input file path, DT transaction data. So is this is this available by default? Or are we creating this particular arguments?
Bajrang, your screen is not visible, sorry.
Is it for everyone?
Now we can see your
It's
screen.
visible.
Yeah, just check and rejoin if possible. Okay, so what are the uses of this particular queue items? This is orchestrator queue name, or you can just say input. This particular item is used to get all new items from queue. Input file path is the Excel file path. Excel path that is downloaded. So this output DT transaction data is out. So this is out argument. Data read from Excel. So for each and every argument, what is the requirement of that argument is what we'll mention here. For example, in future, if I want to see why this particular argument is used, so can I go directly to this document and see that if we have maintained all this information over here?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that is the use of this document. And in the same way, so again, this process in transaction item and all, if you go ahead and see, we already have some information by default. Okay, yes, virtual plots. If you are having anything robotic enterprise framework, by default, it will have some comments. If you want to add any further comments, see, I cannot go into code to check why this particular argument is used always. Okay, but if I want to check it outside the code in the document, this is where we will use how many retry numbers and what is the transaction number, what is the use of it. We will have every detail for every document or for every file. Now, what are these packages? And are they static? Bhagyashree?
Dependency which we install using package. Sorry.
Exactly. No, no, you can answer, but if no one is answering, then Bhagyashree is the person. Okay, anyway, so these are the packages or dependencies that we have in the project. So that's what mentioned in here. Okay, if we want to mention, we also have what is the version of it. So in future, we just need to go ahead and fall back to whatever the existing version we have, where the bot is running. Can we go ahead and check it here?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so that's
yes.
what this is used for. Architectural structure of the master project. So how the project is designed is what we'll mention here. For example, we'll have something called, we'll have a dispatcher. Okay, sorry, architectural project of the diagram. So I cannot draw a diagram right now. Let's quickly check. I'm too bad at drawing. So let's assume that there is a dispatcher process. So I'm mentioning that this is dispatcher, and there is a performer, and we have a queue. So basically, we are just representing in the type of flow chart or some architecture diagram here how the components are interlinked. Okay, so any future improvements if I want, I can just add it here. Enable support for multiple template files. Now we have support only for some mobile number formats. Let's assume that we also need to bring in US formats. Okay, so those should be mentioned over here. And other remarks, workflow should run every night. Be careful not to schedule it before. Why are we mentioning that this is the requirement? Why do we need to have this only at 7 o'clock, not before that, 7 a.m.?
Because in the night only the load will be low in the production.
You can tell something like that, or you will have that day's reports closed by 7 a.m. inputs will be closed and the bots are running at 7 a.m. Okay, so that's what we have. And even here we have packages and all the details, and this is the workflow master project. We have a number of projects, we have workflows, projects and all available, where the robots are available, front office. So by default you have all the details available here. Now, is this enough for you to understand any process execution or not? Not even with checking the code. Please answer. Did you understand solution design document? And when should we create solution design document?
We can create it during development also, during the
After
initial
develop.
phase of development, and add on the things during the development and update it once the development is ready.
Okay, so the document can be updated at 3 instances. SDD updated at 3 instances. STD updated at 3 instances. First one, before starting a project, before starting the code, we will fill this to have picture on what machine it's running. What machine, trigger, inputs, outputs. So whatever we are planning, we'll have it before starting the code. On any change request, so on any change request, we will again change the piece SDD, and after deployment, one final change. Okay. Okay, let's take a pause for 2 minutes and tell me, have you understood this or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, understood.
So Mayank, can you explain me today's session in 2 minutes? What did we discuss and all? You have the notes available for us. We have the notes available, so you can just speak whatever you see. That's fine. Mayank, Mayank, are you there? Okay. So let's go with Ritesh.
Hi, sir.
Yes. Tell me, Ritesh. Did you understand today's
So,
session or not?
yes.
Okay. So is it different from the previous day sessions? And how? What did you understand?
So today we have created the SDD,
Okay.
and we broadly understand the foreground process and front ground process. So what is for and what is for, and how the if how we can do that for and bor mix also, and
Mm,
how the SDD will be updated,
mhm,
and what the necessary things we need to do in the SDD, and when we can start the SDD and complete the SDD also.
mhm. Okay. So what about orchestrator migration?
Yes, that is also, sorry, I forgot to mention it.
Okay. Okay, fine. So if that is it, so today will be the last session, and you have all the information that you need. You can check all the notes. I know that there are 3 recordings missing in this particular place. I will update them. So today's recording is done successfully. I'm going to stop.